because, who knows what I'll burn in this medical complex, Marley.
Exactly. And Charlie, I know that you've already seen emergency services coming in right now for San Joaquin County. What other agencies are you seeing, and are you seeing anyone attacking this from the air quite yet? Because I'm looking around, I'm trying to see exactly how they're trying to go after this fire at this point.
I'm not, that's a great question, Marley. I'm not seeing anyone from the air now. I do see a heavy, obviously, City of Tracy police presence to block these roads off, and Stanislaus County just came to help aid, and I'm sure there's going to be other agencies. I wouldn't be surprised if there was, Livermore. I can't confirm this, but because of such, how big of a fire this is, I wouldn't be surprised if some neighboring cities like Livermore and Pleasanton come to help as well. Again, I can't confirm that, but it does seem like this is going to be an all hands on deck situation after talking to police as well.
Yeah, certainly would be. And again, we're watching this. We have our sister station in the Bay Area, CBS Bay Area, that has their helicopter up right now. KPIX has their helicopter up, where we're able to really get a better view of what this is like down there. Charlie, how close are you even able to get, considering you're on the ground? How close are you to this right now?
Yeah, so I'm about, because they blocked it right here on Schulte Road in Landers, I'm probably about a mile, but because the smoke is so vast, it seems like I'm right next to it. Even driving just, a few miles down the road, it seems like, it's engulfing all of Tracy, just to be honest with you. And everybody, another thing to note too, is driving here, people were, getting out their phones, they were stopping, just because this is not every day you see huge gray smoke engulfing your city, but a lot of Tracy residents are just in shock right now at what's happening in their community. And so, again, families stopping on the side of the road to take out their phones, to take pictures, take video. I'm sure they're making calls to their loved ones, just to let them know that they're safe. So there's a lot to be said here.
And again, this is the warehouse that's right on Promontory Parkway. I'm looking through some social media right now. We have a lot of people concerned, as they're saying that they are seeing this go to smaller grass fires at this point. What are you seeing close to you, Charlie?
Yeah, exactly. So when I spoke with Tracy Police, their PIO, that's their concern. That's a major concern because of the wind, because of all the grass. And when I drove here, it seemed like there was a smaller grass fire in an area just to the left of me here. And I think that's one of the major concerns, is that it's going to spread to grass fires. And so they have all hands on deck out here.
Well, Charlie, we really appreciate all of your outlook as you're there right now. Be careful out there. I know that the air can be very concerning, breathing in all of that thick black smoke, too. We do see a ladder truck up in the air right now as they're spraying water on this fire. Boy, it's going to take a lot more than that. My goodness, this is a massive fire right now burning just outside of Tracy at the Medline Medical Warehouse. We also have CBS 13's Nina Burns, who's there right now. Again, Charlie, thank you. Let's bring Nina in right now as she is arriving at the scene. Nina, what are you learning at this point, as we can see your picture right now and all of that black smoke right behind you?
Marley, we just pulled up quite literally 2 minutes ago, and we keep hearing explosions. It's boom, boom, boom after the other, and pulling in, it was quite literally and we just heard it again. It is bright as day, and it is pitch black the more you look down there. Right now, we are talking to officials who say they haven't started attacking it from the air quite yet. They're still just trying to get everyone here. We know, just like we arrived, they said more people and help are on their way. But just the smell alone, my eyes, as soon as I got out of the car, started immediately watering. The smoke, we are probably about still 3 streets over, and it is absolutely almost unbearable. Now, I do see more flames right now peeking over through that fence, and as you can see, that can get dangerous because we have all of that shrubage and trees right across the street. We also have an Amazon plant directly across the street that right now is untouched, but this continues to appear to spread over here. And as you see, those flames now are touching those trees, the smoke going in to the other side. Now, what we do know as of now is that the traffic is completely stopped over on the 205. They let us in because we're media, but stay away. It was quite literally 30 minutes of just sitting there with people, not quite sure what was going on, but when we left Modesto, we were in downtown Modesto earlier, we saw the smoke in the sky from downtown Modesto, and it took to see this type of visual probably about 30 minutes out. This is a huge, huge fire, and we are supposed to speak very shortly here with Tracy Police with the latest updates, so we will keep you updated. But again, I mean, I can't even describe it as much as you can just see this. It is massive. The flames are burning. There is shrubage up, and it just appears to have caught that tree. They're fighting this right now, but as I said, they're still waiting for more answers, just like us.
And Nina, speaking of that, I am concerned with you being that close to all of those fumes, because at this point, like I was pointing out earlier, several concerns when it's a medical warehouse. We don't know what chemicals are in there, and we know that firefighters now at this point are saying they are concerned about any toxins that could be in that area. We could see more crews coming in at this point to attack this one, so that definitely would be a concern, as they would want anybody, even if they're going to be out there, to make sure that they have masks on, that they're staying far back. I'm sure as you've been out there, you even said that your eyes started to water the minute you stepped out.
And absolutely. And right now we are just following. There are police standing out here. We're just following their lead. They said if they move back, we're going to move back. Right now, the breathing is fine. But again, yes, the wind and this smoke directly into your eyes is not a pleasant experience. And like you said, this is a medical facility. We have no idea what is currently on fire right now. And as we hear more of those booms, which we just heard again, we don't know exactly what is going on inside there. And the issue right now is officials are telling us the exact same thing. They're waiting for answers, standing here in the corner, much like we are. So again, we will be safe. We will not go anywhere closer. And while crews move back, we will continue to move back, because right now, again, there we go, another boom, and those flames are just going straight into those trees. When we first pulled up, it wasn't even at the fence yet. So this is quickly spilling over that fence, as you can see there, into all of that shrubage. I mean, even as I'm speaking, I see the flames roaring now over past the sidewalk, and it is in the middle of Hanson Road and Promontory Parkway right now. And there we go, we hear another boom.
Wow. Yep, I heard that one too. I've been keeping a close eye over your shoulder, Nina, as I'm watching this, because we hear those explosions out there through your microphone, but we also see those flames right behind you as well, and really the dry area around you. Even as we were looking at this from above, you could definitely see all of the dry shrubbery just surrounding that area. We got some great news just now in, though. Medline is saying there's another explosion, if you heard that. There you go again. Medline is now saying that all of the workers are accounted for. Jen, I do have that right? Yes, so that is some good news right there. We just got that in. Medline saying that all of the workers got out safely and they have been accounted for. That was our first thought in watching this, even as I was rushing into the station thinking, I hope all of the workers there got out. This isn't the only warehouse in that area. You see police coming through right now. They have several other warehouses in this area, an Amazon warehouse as well. Best Buy is over in that area. We weren't sure if everyone got out safely. We just now learned, Medline saying all of the workers were accounted for. But of course, we will keep checking in with all of the businesses out there, as well as the emergency crews, just to make sure that everyone else has been accounted for as well. As you watch those flames continue to ignite, dry brush right in the area, that is the concerning thing. Let me reset real quick just so you can get an idea of what we're dealing with. This is the Medline Medical Warehouse just outside of Tracy. This is right in the 5700 block of Promontory Parkway. So that parkway has been blocked off. They're asking people to stay back and away from this area. Again, this is a medical warehouse. So at this point, the concern is exactly what was in that warehouse that went up into flames that could be sending any toxins into the air right now. As you watch all of that really thick black smoke, we just heard from both Charlie LaPastora and Nina Burns live at the scene right now. Nina was pointing out that at this point they are not attacking this from the air because they just want to get a grip on exactly what they're dealing with here in this warehouse right outside of Tracy. But we have seen a couple of ladder trucks that have been up that have also been spraying water onto this fire, but wow, they will have a lot of work cut out for them in this. We also had meteorologist Brian Schofield in with us as well earlier, talking about the forecast and what we can expect as the evening goes on. At this point, the good news there is that the winds have died down, have not been too much of a concern as we have these fire dangers with the high heat. That is what's going to be concerned. The temperatures. It is extremely hot out there. We are just after 3 o'clock right now. So as you can imagine, this is the heat of the day. Firefighters with all of that gear on trying to attack these flames, as you can see, burning so hot out there just beyond the gate. And that's where Nina Burns is standing out there right now. She was just talking with us about how just to step out there, the smoke and whatever's in the air caused her eyes to water. Crews are telling everybody to stay back. She's taking the lead from officers, as you see several officers now riding through that area, emergency crews coming in. Do we still have Nina on with us right now?
Yes, you do. Hello, Marley.
Hi, Nina. Go ahead and get us more up to speed as to what you've been hearing out there. I know that you've already heard a few explosions in that area as well. And even as we've had you on the air, we can hear them in the background.
Absolutely. And I know you were talking about nearby other warehouses, and I just want to show you actually how close these are. So this is the fire behind me. And when I have my photographer spin here, you may see our friendly case array over here. But right there down the street is the huge Amazon facility. That looks like a completely different scene if you just turn your head and see these flames engulfing this facility over here. But again, that is Amazon. Right across the street, another warehouse, and across the street right now is where those flames and the winds are taking it, where we're seeing all of those. And right now, if we could focus on seeing those shrubs finally catching flame right there, right on the sidewalk, and going across the street past all those shrubs is another big warehouse, which I'm not quite sure. Again, much like this, we don't know what's inside of it. I do know we were seeing people leave in just normal cars. I asked, it was employees just getting out in the nearby area. Like I said, this entire area is closed down for everyone but media and, of course, people trying to fight this right now. And just while being here, my eyes, right, I keep wiping them. It's just, windy, sure, but I do not know what exactly is in this pungent smoke. It smells like chemicals. I don't know how else to describe it. Of course, it smells like a fire, but it smells like almost as if you had your hair straightener on too long and it touched something plasticky. It is a smell I have not smelled before.
And Nina, real quick too, since you're right there on the ground and you've been seeing things and what is surrounding that area, just from looking above, as we do have the chopper from our sister station KPIX in the Bay Area, we can see several semi-trucks in that area surrounding the building, cargo surrounding the building, and employee cars. I'm assuming they're employee cars that were out there as well. And even one of those cargo trucks, they were on fire. And there's another explosion as well. Have you seen other things on fire out there as well as you've been making your way there?
Right now, we have just seen this fire spreading towards the street. Again, those explosions are going. And yeah, what you're saying we saw on our drive in with those big cargo. And there's another one. And we did, when I said I saw employees leaving, they were just regular citizens in regular cars leaving their, what I was assuming, or we could only assume, a very normal day until this happened. So they're the only ones allowed in this area. And of course, they are just exiting. Right now, as you gave the update, they have all been accounted for. It does appear that many were leaving the Amazon facility, though we cannot confirm if they fully evacuated yet. And again, right now, when we talk about things catching on fire, the biggest concern, at least while I'm watching it standing here, is it going across the street into all of this greenery. Now, if we could just, all of that greenery, I mean, standing here, there is a lot to catch. And as we know, when it's this hot and it has even a slight wind, it takes one spark for that to spread throughout miles. We've seen it for over and over. It's a story we know, but this time we just are not sure what is on fire right now, Marley.
Right. And Nina, even as you were saying that, wondering how far out this will spread, as I'm looking from above here, we can see several grassy patches outside of this warehouse. Outside to the right, we see all the way over to the back. We can see that those have already caught fire, smoke already billowing up. We can still see some flames coming up too. So yes, definitely spreading to some grassy areas as well at this point. And so many concerns yes, you're talking about the warehouses, but also the cars that are right in that area too, as we know how concerning that could be. If any of these cars around this warehouse, any of those semis around this warehouse catch fire, that is definitely another concern.
Absolutely, and that is, we are just waiting to talk to the officials. It does look like they are walking over to us right now to see exactly where all of that stands. I know, like I said, we jumped out of the car. We are using what we saw visually, but it is a scene. I mean, just staring at this we started talking just a few minutes ago, Marley, it is even darker. If I couldn't look the other way, I would truly think it is the middle of the night right now.
All right, Nina, I heard you say that you see some crews maybe walking over to you at this point. Does it look like they will brief the reporters that are out there soon?
It does, and they actually told us as soon as we have a spare moment here, they can give us an update. I know that we were asking about were they planning on attacking this from the air, exactly what they're going to do with all of that cargo, and what they're doing with the current spreading onto all of this greenery right now. So, if we get a moment here, I'm actually just going to quickly speak to the Tracy police.
Yeah, we'll let you get over there so that you can get an update for us as well, because we certainly want to make sure we get that immediate information out to our viewers, as I know many of them are looking, wondering, wow, where is this going to go from here? What crews do we have out there? Nina was just on talking to us that they're not quite attacking this from the air just yet, as they just try to get a handle on the scene as a whole. We've seen several ladder trucks out there pouring water onto this, but when you look at just how far and wide this scene is, you can imagine just how overwhelming this would be for firefighters trying to attack this. And of course, in the heat as well. We also have meteorologist Brian Schofield, who's been out here with us as well, who's been talking about the forecast and what we can expect as the evening goes on. One thing that's super concerning right now, though, is the heat as they try to attack this fire, because firefighters, as you know, are out there with all of that heavy equipment on right now. So it is 3:15. I want to just reset for just 1 second, just so I can get anyone at home who's just now joining us up to speed. This is the Medline Medical Warehouse that is just outside of Tracy. We just heard good news moments ago that all of the workers at that warehouse have gotten out safely. They have all been accounted for. That was certainly the concern right off the bat. This is right off of Promontory Parkway, right outside of Tracy, not far from the 205. And this is a large distribution center of all of these medical supplies. That is the other concern that crews have already mentioned, is that we're not sure exactly what is in those medical supplies. But if you look at their website and you read all of the supplies that they have, there could definitely be concerns as to what chemicals are involved in any of those supplies when you have all of that smoke billowing up into the air. Also surrounding this area, you can see all of the dry brush that's out in that area. We see a lot of backed up traffic. That's where I was telling you earlier, best to just stay away from this area. Again, Promontory Parkway, right near the 205. That entire area is going to be very backed up as fire crews rush in, work. Look at how backed up all of that traffic is. You don't want to be involved in this one. This warehouse, the Medline Medical Warehouse, is also surrounded by other warehouses, including Amazon. You've got Best Buy out there as well, Sprouts warehouse out there as well. So several warehouses where the concern is that this fire would jump and go to any of those. Brian, could you come in with us and just talk to us about the forecast and what we're expecting? I know a lot of people have been concerned about the winds and what we could expect as far as the winds go.
Yeah, I just grabbed a map right now. Thank you, Marley.
Great.
And I put in the wind direction. We have those arrows giving you an idea of where the wind is coming from and where it's going to. You can see Tracy right there. And you'll notice that it'll be the communities down to the south a little bit more that'll likely get the bulk of that smoke as long as that flow continues. Now, in most areas, it's still less than 10 to 15 miles per hour. But down to, you can see, to Carbona, to a few other areas closer by, that's the direction. I know it seems the overwhelming seeing all those arrows, but that just gives you an idea of where that smoke will actually end up down to Grayson too. So the air quality will be fairly poor, obviously in the immediate area, but also in areas down to the south. Not as much for you folks into Stockton, But nevertheless, as it continues down sloping, we'll likely see it out to Modesto, maybe even parts a little farther south than that, down to Patterson. Obviously, the haze will be in the air, probably viewed from those areas. But let me zoom in a little bit more on Tracy, just to give you an idea where those winds are going to. So to the north of it, not as much, but nevertheless, it will be an area that will be affected by all of that smoke and that haze.
Yeah, definitely. So we're looking at it, says those winds go, what, to the southeast a bit? Vernalis?
Yeah, they're shifting quite a bit, but they look southeast. You're right, Vernalis.
Right. That would be an area. And then even, like you said, considering all of the smoke that we're dealing with, Brian, I would imagine people as far as Patterson will be seeing some of this, the changes in the sky even. I mean,
they're seeing it in the distance. If they don't experience it directly, they're definitely seeing it. But you know, the solution to pollution is dilution, so it will get more diluted as it moves its way down south. But nevertheless, we don't know what chemicals are in there, so this is something that people just want to avoid in general right now if they can. And
you were saying too that this is really the hottest day of the year so far for Tracy, right?
Yes, well, for so many areas too. Truly, as they're expecting temperatures in the triple digits. I'd pull up another map, but I don't have it available. But I guarantee their temperatures, if they're not in the upper 90s right now, they're in the low 100s.
Which certainly that doesn't help with the fire burning, and then definitely not with the fire crews, as we appreciate all of the work that they will have to put into this for sure to get it under control. We do have Nina Burns out here with us too. She's hearing right now, getting an update from officials.
Medical supplies to hospitals and medical facilities in the area.
And so do we know the precautions, you know, the first responders are taking, considering you don't know what the material that's on fire is?
Yeah, so the fire department has a very lengthy list of every hazmat material in every building in the city. So they know what's inside of a building before they rush in or don't rush in. So they have all those details, and every time they're dispatched to a specific address with commercial or a hazmat, it's flagged. So they know what's supposed to be there before they go in.
But right now, you don't know.
I don't know that. Right now, I don't have that information. I'm sorry.
Any sign that there might be some progress, or is it still just too early to tell?
Too early to tell right now, yeah.
Sergeant, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm with NBC Bay Area. I just drove from the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Can you tell us again? I'm sorry to have you recap, but what happened here? When did this start, and what's going on?
I don't have the exact time for you. I apologize.
Right.
But we have a report of a structure fire here at the Medline building. South County Fire and the Tracy Police Department responded. We assist with evacuations inside the building. As far as we know, everybody got out of the building safely, and now it's just because of the wind and the spreading embers. We have evacuated a large portion of the area. You can hear the explosion still going on, so they're trying to contain the fire right now to make sure it doesn't spread to additional places.
What is that? What do you think is exploding in there?
It's either gas tanks or air tanks. I don't know exactly. I know there's a lot of semi trucks parked in the area, so it could be any number of things right now.
I also hear another building is being threatened.
A couple are, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
What are they? Are they using FedEx?
I believe there's a FedEx building, and there's several warehouses out here. I know a FedEx building was threatened. I don't have the exact name of the other building that might be threatened. I know several warehouses in the area were evacuated just as a precaution.
Okay. I heard you talking about the hazardous materials that you guys. Go ahead
That's not. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, what was your question again?
About you know what materials are in here.
So
right?
the fire department does. The fire department keeps a very comprehensive list of all the hazardous materials in every building they might respond to. They're really busy right now, and they asked me to fill in for them right now as the media relations. So I don't have that information for you right now, unfortunately, but we will have that at a later time.
Okay. Has any reports of injuries so far? I mean, this is a huge facility.
We've had no reports of injury so far.
Okay, that's a good.
Yes, it's great.
How many workers are in this building that are employed that you know of?
I don't know that right now. I'm sorry.
Okay. What are you telling the people of Tracy watching this? There's people wondering, am I going to need to evacuate? So, and is this smoke dangerous?
So stay out of the area. Number one, don't drive over here. A lot of roads are closed. We're trying to keep people out of this area. Just like any other smoke, close your windows if you're sensitive to the smoke, or you have asthma type things. Close your windows. Wear a mask if you're outside, or just don't go outside if you can help it.
Okay. Do we know what kind of materials are burning?
I don't know that right now, unfortunately.
And just to clarify, you were alerted by a 911 call. Do you know if it was an employee?
I don't know. I think we had several dozen 911 calls about this incident. So.
And the name of this park, of this industrial park, again, is
I believe it's Prologis International Park.
Prologis.
Yeah, something to that effect. Yeah.
And you don't know how many businesses are in there?
Lots. There's a lot of businesses out here.
And how long have they been here?
Several years, yeah. At least 10 years.
At least 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay. And Medline's been here.
They've been here quite a while, yeah.
Is this something that you consider a possibility with these types of industrial warehouse areas, and just the sheer amount of materials that are stored inside these buildings? And what kind of training or preparations have the different agencies done to prepare for a worst case scenario like this?
And I don't want to speak to all the preparations that fire makes, because obviously they're a different agency, but I know they have a very comprehensive training and permitting program when it comes to businesses like this. So they have a pretty good awareness of what's inside each building they respond to. And I know Tracy Fire has one of the top hazmat teams in the area. So I think they're well prepared to handle any incident that comes our way.
Can you talk about who's here helping? It's obviously Tracy Fire.
It's South County Fire, Tracy Fire. I've seen Lathrop Fire, Stockton Fire, Mountain House Fire, Defense Logistic Agency Fire, Alameda County Fire, and I'm sure there's probably a dozen more that I'm missing.
And OES is now on scene.
OES is here, and then we have law enforcement agencies who are all over the area to help out with road closures and evacuations if need be.
And just from a personal perspective, I'm sure you have over a decade in law enforcement. When you heard this building was on fire and then started seeing the smoke and realized the scope of it, what was happening? Was your stomach dropping? Kind of tell me your visceral reaction to this.
So I responded to mutual aid at several fires, like the campfire up in Paradise. I've been to that one. I've been to several wildfires as a mutual aid responder, and just the amount of smoke I saw, I knew this was very serious. So I knew this is all, every police officer in Tracy is here that's working. So this is all hands on deck, because our number one priority is to make sure that nobody gets hurt. So if we can do those evacuations to keep people out of the area, that's our number one priority. Keep the area safe so our firefighters can do what they do.
And what about for you personally, when you realized the scope and what was happening here?
Well, I knew it'd be a big deal, and I knew it was all hands on deck. So I mean, I'm grateful that nobody has been reported hurt, and that's number one for me. As long as nobody is hurt, I mean, we can rebuild things. It's going to take a while to rebuild, but as long as nobody's hurt, we can fix everything else.
And then can I get your name as well, please?
Yeah, Michael Richards.
And you're a sergeant?
I am a sergeant with the Tracy Police Department.
Sergeant, I think this industrial park does a lot of good for the community, right?
I'm sorry, what's that?
You might get little more detail, but they want to get fire to provide a statement to give you a little better insight. Will they come out here? Yeah, they're going to come out here, but they need to.
All right, we were listening to Sergeant Michael Richards with the Tracy Police Department right now, giving our reporter CBS 13's Nina Burns an update as to what is going on. The big thing, he said all of the employees have been accounted for out there. He was also listening, as we could hear live, the explosions that were going on out there. He's saying gas tanks, possibly air tanks. There are several semis parked in that area too. Those could all be related to the explosions that they're hearing right now. Too early to tell, though, on what progress that the firefighters are making at this point. But one thing he did point out, which is very good to hear at this point, is that the fire department does have a risk assessment of all of the warehouses in that area and what is exactly stored in there. So hopefully we will get a better idea on that later on when they give us another update, because this is a medical warehouse building, so we're not sure exactly what supplies were in there, but we do know that, as with any medical supplies, there would certainly be concerns with chemicals and what would be released into the air with all of that thick black smoke that we can see out here. Got my co-anchor out here now, Tony Lopez, joining us too. Tony, you just came in from the newsroom. What are you learning?
Well, Marley, first and foremost, what the gentleman said is top of mind. And as you pointed out, people in the warehouse are okay. And as you take a look at the wider picture, you see some homes to the left. No one has been injured, and that is certainly the top of mind front news. The way the smoke is blowing, and if you've talked about this, I apologize, but right now it's the saving grace for people who live in that neighborhood, because you have a few homes to the north of this medical warehouse. And then you have that subdivision, but for that to reach the subdivision, that's got to hop over the highway. And for now, they are certainly loving the fact that the wind is blowing in that direction, not the opposite.
Right, and that highway could definitely work as its own breaker to make sure that it doesn't jump that area as well. They had dozens of 911 calls come in about this. What we just heard from the Tracy Police Department, they are telling everyone to close their windows, of course, wear masks if you have to go outside, but they are recommending you just simply don't go outside in this area. Again, this is just outside of Tracy, right near the 205 and Promontory Parkway. A lot of smoke. We just had Brian come in here, meteorologist Brian Schofield, telling us about which direction the winds are blowing. Yes, they are blowing it much better right now because it's not gusting right now, but it is going in that southeast direction, which could definitely at one point reach Patterson. I'm sure they're seeing the difference in the air, though.
For sure. Now, if you're just tuning in right now, hoping to see your favorite show on CBS, we're going to stay here because this is a huge fire impacting a lot of people. So just know that coming out of the gate. We're going to keep people as safe as possible with this and, of course, let you know which direction the smoke is going in and making sure that there's no other hazmat situation there. As you take a look at the video live here from our CBS helicopter, just amazed at how many portions of this building, huge warehouse, has just sunk unto itself. Now, what is burning? Well, this medical facility holds everything from wheelchairs to vehicles to oxygen tanks. In fact, they beefed up this industry a lot about 5 years ago. They poured in hundreds of millions of dollars with the huge demand of having to supply the greater hospital area. Look at those flames right there. You have a lot of vehicles as well. How many? Well, 1,300 trucks are in this area of the warehouse. And if you're just throwing down the car keys coming home from taking the kids to soccer or whatever, and you're going, what the heck's burning? This is kind of like a warehouse hub. As you could take a vantage point from there. Look at how large that is, almost like a wildfire from a distance, right? So to the left, you have what's burning closer, the aerial view from our helicopter. All of those are trucks. They look like trailers. Those are trailer trucks right there. And thankfully, that's not burning in that direction because we don't know if those are loaded with any supplies. But this is a distribution center and logistics hub. They operate 5 in California. Again, the headline, not near a residential area. Most other warehouses all the other warehouses, Marley, have been evacuated, correct?
They have been. And so you've got FedEx out there. You've got Best Buy out there. You also have an Amazon warehouse out there, a Sprouts warehouse out there as well. We do know, we just heard from the Tracy Police Department that at one point the FedEx warehouse was threatened, but he's not sure if any of those warehouses are still threatened at this point. No homes, as we are hearing, are threatened, but we have already seen where the flames have jumped from that area to nearby grass and already caused some grass fires there. This is really the tricky part. The traffic is so backed up in that area. Tony, we were watching through our Bay Area K-Pix their chopper view, and you could see just how backed up all of the traffic was in that area.
And the 205 is usually backed up, but can you imagine? I mean, our instinct is to slow down and ask what the heck is rolling. Maybe some people are shooting video from their cars because they're going slow, but the looky-loo factor is what's slowing everything down. So thankfully, it is not burning near the highway, but obviously that smoke, and when you look at that thick black smoke, it just tells you that there are a lot of chemicals in that sucker that are burning right now.
And I was looking through social media just now too, and we can see people posting already about being in the Bay Area and seeing the smoke from all the way here in Tracy. They can see just how thick that smoke is as it's taking up in the sky right now. So that is definitely a concern. Again, the winds at this point, meteorologist Brian Schofield telling us the winds are blowing to the southeast direction from Tracy. So you're looking at places like it could spread as far down as Patterson. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they're already smelling the difference in the air.
The smoke itself, absolutely. So the containment of the flames is their first priority, along with keeping people safe. They got everybody out of there from what we understand. That's certainly good news. So if you're watching and you have some friends or family or loved ones that work in a warehouse in this area, they've all been, we're told, evacuated. This was a fire that broke out about 1 o'clock from my understanding, Marley, and obviously a lot of people just back from their lunch break, so a lot of workers there, and there's the ground shot of Nina gathering some information. Here's what we're doing on breaking news like this. We get our crews out on the ground to get as much information as possible. If it's a weather event like it is with the wind, we have Brian and the weather team standing by to tell you which way the wind is blowing. Obviously, our team in the booth working the phones to try and get anything that we can get from people who are out there, fire chiefs, other personnel, and that is how we're working this operation here from CBS 13.
In fact, our producer in the booth just now just saw that Cal OES has pulled up. They're hoping to brief us shortly. We know that Nina was briefed by Tracy police. They have told us that at this point they are not doing an air attack just yet because they just need to get everything assessed for and figured out on the ground. We've seen some ladder trucks out there attacking this, but they'll have their work cut out for them.
And when you look at big warehouse fires like this, as we've covered them in the past, it's tough to throw up air support right away because the visibility is so poor. So the last thing you want is a water dropping helicopter or some sort of aerial support that's involved in a crash because they can't see that face of their hand in front of their face, I should say. But basically, they want to make sure that this thing does not spread to the dry vegetation, which, as you can take a look at that picture, the vegetation to your left of your screen, and that's certainly not being impacted right now anyway.
So dry out there, and even as we had Nina Burns live for us on there, we could hear the explosions continuously as she was giving her live report. That is the concern. But then right behind her, you could actually see active flames that were going up and coming out through the gate that was just right behind Nina. So this is certainly concerning. Again, the one good thing is that the winds are pretty manageable at this point, but still that smoke is really billowing up, thick black smoke. Nina was even saying that when she got out of the car, her eyes immediately started watering. There's the graphic that meteorologist Brian Schofield had brought up where you can see the direction of the winds right now as where they are going, where Vernalis definitely will probably feel and smell some of the smoke out there, Carbona as well, but even possibly is further south into Patterson, where you can see that when you're looking up from above, you can already see the smoke coming out from other areas where the flames already jumped and then got onto dry grass, dry vegetation in that area that had sparked some other small fires out there. And then when you look around the building, you can also see several semis parked around the building as well. That has been a concern, something that police have been looking into is what could be involved in some of those explosions. We're hearing gas tanks, air tanks, as well as Tony was pointing out, all of the different supplies that could be in this warehouse, including oxygen tanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything. If we can open up Brian's mic at some point, I'd like to ask him about temperatures in the area. Tracy, traditionally very windy. Thankfully, again, as Marley pointed out, as you're pointing out with this graphic, moving in the right direction, and put right in quotations in terms of not near the residents. So go ahead, Brian, talk about the heat out there right now, what firefighters are dealing with.
Yeah, we're definitely topping out at the temperatures we had yesterday. So we're in most areas warmer than that, and anywhere from the mid-90s to low 100s right now. I'm also looking at the winds. Obviously, that's a concern. You can see the direction from those arrows that we put in just to give you an idea of where that smoke will probably be traveling to likely. And we know it'll get down to Wesley, and you've heard the areas like Patterson, Crow's Landing, even farther south than that. But also we're looking at, anywhere from 10 to 20 mile per hour winds. We have a lone gauge saying 34 mile per hour gusts at this point, but we know there are some breezy conditions at very least. And actually, this is an area that has some wind turbines for power, so it must be an area that also sees some pretty dramatic wind speeds, but we haven't seen that today so much. But you can see the direction. I'll zoom in a little in a few other areas there. For you folks in the community surrounding that warehouse, you know who you are, and you can see right there the wind direction takes it right overhead. So yeah, just stay put, let this pass, and they will be working on it obviously throughout the early evening hours as well. And you can hear from what the anchors are saying. In general, we know it's going to travel quite a bit because the wind is still fairly breezy out there right now. Back to you guys.
Yeah, certainly concerned. We appreciate all of that, Brian, as well. When you look off into the distance, too, from overhead, wow, look at all of that smoke. You can see, yes, moving in that same direction that Brian has been pointing out, and that's how it will continue for the rest of the evening. But really, Tony, the concern, like you were pointing out, the heat, we have to think about all of the crews that are out there as well. They've got all of that heavy equipment on as they're battling this.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, a firefighter, as we reported yesterday, for a wildfire carries at least 65 pounds. If this is Nina's picture, guys, and if she's ready, I'd like to talk to her just because I know she's on the ground, and I got that sense when she was there, the eerie sound that she had said about it looking like it's dark, it's so dark it might be nightfall. So if we can get her, I want to get that vantage point of what she's seeing from the ground. I'm told she can't talk, but that's okay. We can use her picture, and we'll be using that full screen right there. There she is right there. So Nina, if you can hear us, thumbs up. Okay, good. So again,
Tony, and
for viewers just tuning in, Nina, I was struck by what you said about it looking like obviously, as you get closer to the smoke, it looks like nightfall.
I mean, if I wasn't here to turn my head away, Tony, I would think it was midnight. I mean, you can see from the contrast of me right now, if we turn over here, the firefighters who are in there right now, it looks like they're literally walking between night and day. Now, we do know right at 4 p.m. we will hear and get briefed by the fire department. Right now, they say that we did, as you heard, I believe you guys rolled on it when we were speaking to the police department. They said that they do prepare for this type of stuff, but they still have no idea what the material is inside of this facility. So they said they're taking extra precautions. And if you can hear it in my voice, it is getting quite smoky and it's choking up. I mean, my eyes are watering. It is a scene to be out here. And again, I'm not even very close. And I hope we can see that right there. We just saw a patch catch on the grass right there. I think the fire crews did hopefully see it. I'm going to hope, because it is quickly catching right there.
Yeah.
And if you compare it to the shrubbery on the other side, you can already see how singed that is compared to over here. Now, as soon as that started blowing, I know it was just about 30 minutes ago when I got here and we saw the fire start pouring through that fence right there, going to the shrubbery. Well, the fire department immediately went over and started tackling that. It does look like they have a handle on that. But again, we have questions about the current cargo that is in front of this facility. We have questions about remaining cars we see from some of the employees. And those are all answers that they said we will get from the fire department. And I mean, as we can see, they are incredibly busy right now, but they said they should have some updates for us in the next few minutes.
Yeah, Nina, we'll let you catch your breath and maybe get something to protect your breathing with that. But Marley, this is the story out here right now, because the fire itself is too big to attack from the air for obvious reasons. But these smaller spot fires that are creeping up, those are the ones that could cause the potential damage when the embers go flying in that wind towards someone's homes. How many times have we covered wildfires where the person who had a home burned down was nowhere near the fire, right? And then that ember, or those embers go, and then, you know, game over. So
and we're seeing it right here as it happens.
For sure.
And this is just one of several that we've already seen pop up. Even as we had the shot from above where you can see all of this, we were already seeing multiple spot fires breaking out from the embers that were flying over. We know that our assignment desk had already reported that there had been another small grass fire just south of this fire. Charlie LaPastora, when he was out there earlier, knew that he had several homes in that area. There were several residents who were concerned about this fire jumping, but the good thing to report there, no damage reported at this point, no injuries reported, but this is a residential area as well as all of the warehouses that you have.
And speaking of the warehouses, I told you our team is making calls and talking to people and companies that might be involved. We just heard from the FedEx warehouse in the area, and they say that all of their workers are accounted for and everything is okay. But this is the warehouse hub. As you take a look in that smaller box of firefighters doing the other side of the street, and look at those tiny little flags right there. See that? Yeah, that is giving a good indication of the wind blowing in that Tracy area, an already windy area. To your right, you see the residences and then the wind turbines that are up there, and that smoke that looks like it's just motionless. So the other warehouses, you have Williams-Sonoma, Zinus Inc., Home Depot, Amazon we just heard from, Best Buy, FedEx we just heard from, and we're working to find out. But they have drills for all of this, Marley. Obviously, the firefighters have drills to say what happens if we get a warehouse fire in this area. And then the workers are told, look, you got to, for all intents and purposes, have that go bag ready to get the heck out of there if there's a fire.
Exactly. And we've also been getting updates from the South San Joaquin County Fire Authority. We were hoping to get the chief on shortly, but they were saying that, of course, as you have the Medline building fully engulfed in all those flames, a second warehouse had also been threatened, from what I understand, still being threatened as they've been working this fire out there as well. But the big concern that even the fire authorities have out there is what's exactly in the building. We know that the fire department does have a breakdown of exactly all of the equipment and what is stored in all of the warehouses out there. But of course, they still have to assess the situation and then go through the chemicals. Still, though, telling everyone in that area just to stay back. But we have several fire departments out there at this point: Stockton Fire, Mountain House Fire, Manteca, all of these agencies tackling this one, but again, not yet from the air. As of course, Tony, you were pointing out, there can be concerns when you're trying to drop water on a fire from above when you're still trying to assess everything below.
And Marta, you make a really good point that they have taken inventory of everything that's in these warehouses, from the medical supply to other warehouses as well. So they might have a better idea of what is burning. You can bet they have a map out right now somewhere in a room looking to see where the warehouse has stored some more combustible material. So again, we're giving you a number of vantage points. The big picture is from a distance, and it looks like, and then boom, all of a sudden, you imagine driving and seeing that? You're driving and then boom, you're just wondering what the heck is on fire. To the left is a live picture. Closer to the scene, we've had some spot fires as well. And that's the concern right now, because the brush is so dry out there and the winds are kicking up as well. And it's hot. It's darn hot.
And as we pulled up that one shot where you could see somebody from their car just there we go, another one showing what it looks like with all of that traffic backed up in that area. Of course, telling everyone to just stay away from Promontory Parkway and the 205, because that area already, Tony, even as you were pointing out, gets backed up as is. But you could imagine what it's like out there right now, especially with everyone stopping. These are the kinds of videos that I've been watching on social media, with all of the people driving by, concerned as they can see all of that thick black smoke right out their window. Again, everyone being told that close your windows, stay inside. If you absolutely have to go outside, to of course wear a mask. But again, with this being a medical warehouse, the concern with any of the chemicals that are in the air, best idea to just stay inside, close the windows, don't even go outside. You
know what I'm thinking as I'm watching that video of the drivers? It's a good reminder for us as drivers, especially as we get into the height of fire season. Don't looky-loose so much where you're going to crash into another vehicle.
Exactly.
I mean, how many times have we done stories where there have been crashes on the highway or even side streets because people are watching the fires that burn? Look, that will take care of itself as long as you and your family get out of danger. That's what you have to keep in mind, and be extra cautious and get off your darn phone when you're going through the fire zone, because you want to make sure that if someone slams on the brakes in front of you, you don't want to add to the emergency situation. We're waiting for, speaking of emergencies, Cal OES, the Office of Emergency Services. They're going to be briefing us shortly. What we do when we're waiting for this is a lot of times they go on and they introduce themselves, so we don't want to go to them too quickly, but when they have information, we're going to go. It looks like it is burning even hotter, for lack of a better phrase, right now from this vantage point, Marley, as that thick black smoke just billows into the air and moves away, thankfully for now, from residential areas.
All of that blowing in a southeasterly direction right now from this warehouse that's just outside of Tracy, again, right along the Promontory Parkway, right near the 205. One thing we cannot stress enough, though, is that everyone from the Medline Medical Warehouse has been accounted for. They got out safely, and we just heard moments ago from FedEx, same thing. Everyone got out safely. Everyone accounted for, because we do have several warehouses in that area that had to be evacuated, including an Amazon warehouse as well. We do keep and continue to hear those explosions in the area too, so that's a concern. Another reason why they just want everyone to not even try to travel through that area, to just stay back. This is also a residential area, as well, as we were hearing from our Charlie LaPastora, who is out there as well, trying to get some more information, as he's been on this from the very beginning, watching all of that smoke come up and talking with our emergency crews out there.
3:45, let's do a reset right now as we stand here on this Thursday afternoon. You're looking live at a warehouse on fire, a big medical facility warehouse. Let's bring in Brian right now, our first alert meteorologist, Brian Schofield, because you're probably wondering about wind direction. Marley touched on that briefly, but also the high heat involved. And Brian, what do you have for us that can contribute to the coverage as we continue here live on CBS Sacramento?
Yeah, and you mentioned roads as well. I can see, because of the direction, here's the actual kind of block that it's covering right there. This is part of the map. And then as I pull out a little bit more, you'll be able to see the direction from those arrows. And they're shifting a little bit south-southeast. You can see how they shift right there. Obviously, the 205 and the 580 affected by this quite well. So you mentioned roads and how certainly visibility could be down, not just having those particulates in the air, but that mess continues to roll its way down to the south. And that'll cover a lot of communities south of where this building is sitting at this point.
Hey, Brian, can you zoom in again from the actual, where I'm intrigued by that shot right there.
I can get close in right there. Okay, there's the warehouse right there.
Right there. And then as you widen out, you could see the number of warehouses in that area. Every single one of those plots of land is a warehouse. And then you have, ironically enough, there's a Cal Fire station to the south, Station 26, Castle Rock.
But even looking at that, you can see all of the greenery that they have around that area. I shouldn't even call it greenery because it's dry brush at this point. That's where the concern has been, because a lot of those areas have already popped up with little spot fires that have kept firefighters busy out there.
And then to the north, we have a few homes. If you go north to there, and then that's 205. Actually, the video we've been showing you of drivers, and then that is the neighborhood where people are obviously concerned and wondering.
They're probably being somewhat affected, but obviously, as you see, the wind direction's taking a lot of this away, but it's swirling around quite a bit too.
And it's, in terms of wind prediction, Brian, I mean, is there any way to tell if there's going to be a shift in that wind?
No, as long as we have this northerly flow, it's essentially going to stay this way. You can see it does shift a little bit south, southeast, south. It's coming in from the northwest, so that's the direction it will likely remain, if not just coming out of the north and going down to the south because of our valley. So.
And look to the left how dark that smoke is. I'm wondering, I know when a wildfire happens, many times the smoke is so thick it creates its own weather, but I don't think the smoke to the left is going high enough to do that. Could be wrong if anyone.
We're not getting a feedback loop from that.
Okay.
If that's what you're talking about,
Sure,
we're getting a little mini kind of tornadoes, what looks like that. I'm not seeing that yet, but that's not to say it's not possible, certainly.
There's lots of good news with this, Marley, as I think about it, because obviously the phrase, and it is so cliche to say in the news business, it could have been much worse or could be much worse. But this is burning in an area where there aren't a lot of homes. And everyone in the area, from what we're being told in terms of workers, have been evacuated and they trained for this stuff. But, you know, as far as where, I mean, they put warehouses out there for a reason, rather than not going to put it in a residential area. But
the first thing that came to mind was who was in the warehouse, how many were in that warehouse, did everyone make it out safely?
If there was an initial explosion, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, for
sure.
sure.
Thank goodness they did. I mean, everyone got out safely, because we even had the FedEx warehouse that was threatened as well. But now we're hearing from them that everyone got out safely as well. And again, though, we're dealing with a medical warehouse. And as you can imagine, who knows, as far as chemicals go, exactly what's on fire right now. But when you see that thick black smoke going up into the air, that is where the concern is. And it's not directly right there in the middle of a residential area, but you do have those homes nearby. And that's where fire crews have already said to please close your windows and just stay inside at this point. Again, that whole entire area, especially 205, that's right there. The Promontory Parkway already shut down. Several roads in that area already shut down as well. But probably just best to try to avoid that area altogether if you can.
Medline Industries is the warehouse that's on fire. It has about 53 locations nationwide. In Tracy, it's the distribution center and logistics hub, and they operate 5 of these in California. I know they have one in the San Bernardino County area of Southern California. And again, this is a company that's done well. I mean, about 4 years ago, they invested an additional $500 million in supply inventory. Much of it kept, or I should say was kept, in that warehouse.
Right.
Everything
this is one of the largest warehouses they have in the country, this one specifically in Tracy.
Everything from robotics to vehicles, trucks as well. So there's a lot to burn.
I know we're waiting right now for Cal OES to come on board and give us an update real quick. We've got Nina Burns out there on the ground waiting to hear from them as they just pulled up not too long ago. We also have Charlie LaPastora, who's been out there on the scene as well, checking in with crews. Also talking with people out in that area. He's been watching people leave the area, of course, just to get away from all of that smoke. And we know South San Joaquin County Fire Authority has been out there. We're hoping to get the fire chief, Randall Bradley, in with us as well. We know he's been standing by to talk with us, because we're just trying to get an update as to when they'll be able to start attacking this one from the air. They haven't been able to do that just yet, but they have had several ladder trucks out there that have been pouring water onto this. But what's really keeping fire crews busy right now is all of those spot fires that keep popping up. Anytime you have those embers that get blown and right there into all of that dry brush that you can see out there, see some of the ladder trucks right now spraying down that area. They've got several cargo trucks out there that are so close to all of that. That's what's also been the concern as to any of those explosions that we've been hearing, because people are still parked out there. So any gas tanks, any air tanks, the oxygen tanks that could be in that building, with this being a medical supply as well, could be causing some of those explosions. But any of those embers, when they get loose and they blow with that wind, definitely a concern, as we've seen multiple spot fires popping up. We've watched fire crews jump out of their trucks, run over to one to fight one, and then another one pops up not far away. So that will definitely keep them busy out there. It's really just about making sure this doesn't spread anymore.
And this is a really interesting firefight to watch because, you know, we cover wildfires a lot, and they're going to take to the air and try and dump water, fire retardant and water dropping helicopters. But when you're dealing with a warehouse like this, it's a whole different ball game. As Marley said, they can't really attack it from the air as of yet. And you have to wonder what's inside those trucks. And they certainly want to put some water in before those flames reach those vehicles. And there are a lot of vehicles, as our photographer from the air there zooms in, and you can see some outbuildings already there have collapsed. And a lot of this warehouse has collapsed. As you take a look at the flames, you have to get in really tight to see the flames. If they do a wider aerial, you could just see nothing but blackness, right, Marley? And it's just...
But in the middle there, we have seen flames popping up, which tells you that this is far from over. They've got a lot of work cut out for them because the flames continue to burn hot there underneath all of that thick black smoke, and then the concerns with any of those embers flying out. What will be something we'll be asking is how this even started, where this all began, where these flames even started in the first place, because boy, had they spread, really taking out that entire Medline Medical warehouse and threatening other warehouses in that area, as we've had, again, the Amazon warehouse, we have FedEx warehouse out there as well. Those all have been threatened, but again, all of the employees accounted for that could have been involved in this, that were evacuated. So that's the good news with that. Still, though, keeping an eye on as the wind is blowing south, southeast, with any of those embers flying out. That's what's really the concern right now.
And when they start to put water on this thing, we'll have to look at the reaction of the fire itself. A lot of times you're dealing with medical equipment, and people that work in the hospital industry will be able to tell you this as well. Sometimes water isn't the best thing, right? So maybe they'll go the fire retardant route. Maybe they'll do something that is out of the ordinary or different, because this is not your ordinary warehouse fire. When you got pallets, when you got wood, when you have things that we know how they react to water once it's dumped on, we get it. But there are so many different layers to what's inside this warehouse as the photojournalist from our helicopter zooms in to exactly what we're talking about, the blackness and what the firefighters are dealing with. To the left, Marley, our live picture from the ground, a little bit more swirling of the smoke in the area, which is what people are seeing as they're driving and as they're just sitting outside their backyards.
We've been continuing to get information, and we've got San Joaquin Fire released a statement saying the Medline building is fully engulfed with that second warehouse that was being threatened. Crews there, though, as you can see on scene, heavy response right now, but they are asking people to just avoid that area. They say the building was evacuated, perimeter is now secured, and they have accounted for everyone, but they do not know how the fire may have started. So that is something that we'll definitely be asking. The company that owns the warehouse, again, Medline, also released a statement, again, saying all their employees and on-site personnel are accounted for, and that the safety and well-being of their employees is their top priority. They say they're working with local law enforcement and first responders, and will share more details as they become available.
We've been showing you some live pictures, and now we're getting back to some video that was shot earlier as well. Just to give you a perspective, this is how it looked, the firefight to the left, as they started putting water on this thing, not from the air because of the danger of flying something in low visibility with all that smoke, but standing back and fighting the flames from a distance. And it's interesting to see how you could see much more of the flames before, I guess about 30 minutes ago. And then you see the trucks that are engulfed around this facility, and you can just hope that a lot of these trucks have been unloaded already, but you just don't know, right, when you're dealing with a warehouse, what has been offloaded and what has yet to be offloaded. But the concern is what the heck is burning. We do know it's enough to cause the blackness of a midnight at 3:55 on a Thursday afternoon. Our crews are spread out all over the place right now. They're gathering information. They're talking to public information officers, getting them to kind of give them a sort of encouragement to get on the air and give some more information. Cal OES, they always do a great job, and right now they're getting their ducks in a row before they talk about what is happening. Again, to your right, it looks like just a black tornado that spread. And then the left is a little more movement, the ground shots here on CBS 13.
Very concerning. We also have several crews out there right now. We've got CBS 13's Charlie LaPastora, who's out there, as well as Nina Burns, who's been out there talking with emergency crews. We know that she's hoping to be briefed by Cal OES any moment. And as soon as that happens, of course, we'll go live to that just so you can get the information right as we're getting it as well. We also know that the neighboring FedEx building released a statement. They say that, of course, they've been aware of that. Their team, though, has been safely evacuated and accounted for. We're learning more about the building that's been burning, that fire again happening at the Medline warehouse, a medical equipment distributor. They sell instruments and supplies for physicians and surgeons. It's not clear, though, if any of that equipment could have been included flammable or hazardous materials, but we do know that the fire department has definitely been keeping an eye on that. They actually keep a list of all of the supplies that are located in every one of those warehouses in that building. So they do know that, and they've been keeping an eye on it. That's why they've been telling, though, everyone to stay away from that area. If you absolutely have to go outside, to wear a mask, but keep your windows closed. We have seen where traffic is really backed up along the 205. Promontory Parkway is shut down. They also have several roads in that area closed off as well. Again, this is just outside of Tracy. The winds, though, as they've been blowing to the south, the southeast, that is where the wind is going to pick up some of that smoke and bring it south, possibly as far as Patterson. But I do know, I was looking on social media, I've been scanning what everyone's posting on there. We do know that some people all the way out in the Bay Area are already seeing the smoke up in the sky. They're posting what is going on out there.
And as we approach the 4 o'clock hour, we want to invite you to keep it right here. We're staying on the air with this breaking news. If you might have a hankering to turn into another station who has 4 o'clock news, don't do it. We're going to be on the air live with you throughout the evening with this until there's some sort of resolution, and so we can make sure that everyone stays safe. So our 4:30 news is going to transition into this as well, as we stay with live pictures from the ground to the left as you see people and movement, and then you see the aerial shots from up in the air. So let's hit Brian Schofield once again, our first alert meteorologist. We thought we'd be talking about wildfires today, Brian, but obviously fire is fire, and this one's a little bit different.
Right, and so many buildings could be threatened by this, and that's why we're watching that very closely. And often that happens in a fire situation. Other structures are being threatened by, but we're watching these closely. Taking a look at some of these other structures, it's actually very interesting to me. Like this one right here, obviously, is, I don't know the name of that one, but Medline right here is what we're looking at. This one, I believe, is Williams-Sonoma, maybe?
Yeah.
And Best Buy right over here, along with Costco. And then we have the Amazon warehouse. And of course, this is the FedEx one we've been talking so much about right there. And you get down south a little bit more to Home Depot building right there. So these are all warehouses, distribution centers for that. But let me get on some of the wind right there. Obviously, all those buildings we're watching that. We're watching the neighbors to the north of that as well. And that's something we need to keep our eyes on as we get a little farther in. Let me pull out a little bit more. And you'll see, obviously, it's going to affect the roads. This is the direction the wind is coming from. So it's blowing everything south, southeast. You were asking earlier about a little wind shift. Certainly we're seeing that. Could we see it shift a little more westward? Sure, but spinning back to the north is not necessarily likely with our area of high pressure blowing it all down from the north to the south. So you're seeing how that distribution center can affect so much on the roads there, and of course on these communities that are not far south from it there. I mean, even though it might be going in one direction, it will still spread out quite a bit as well.
And considering that too, Brian, I was just noticing that the Valley Air District posted to Tracy residents, anyone in that area, concerned about the ash, the smell of smoke. So just telling everyone once again to stay inside when possible, to keep those windows closed, especially anyone who's sensitive to this, including children, older adults, those with any heart or lung conditions. So they are saying that you should be inside and away from this, concerned about the air quality. But you can also go to the Valley Air District's website where you can see the exact air quality and know what's happening right in your area where you live, because as you can imagine, this smoke is spreading. People throughout the area can smell it. Nina Burns has been out there. She was saying that her eyes started to water the moment that she got out, and it's still spreading and concerning when you see these embers flying out and then catching some of the dry grass on fire right in that area, keeping those fire crews busy right now. You can see, if you look right in the middle of your screen, There you go, those flames that are popping up right there. So this has been the concern because they can't quite attack this from the air just yet, really just having to let what they can just let burn out there. At this point, we just see a lot of the fire crews battling all of those grass fires that have been popping up around, dumping a little bit of water with their ladder trucks onto this, but for the most part, it is just hard to tackle this one when you have the wind blowing. At least it's not blowing any more than it could be. It could be much worse, as we were saying earlier, Tony. But yes, that wind blowing like in a southeast direction, and certainly concerning for anybody who has those high risks when it comes to the air quality.
Absolutely. It's all about keeping this thing contained. As fire crews, you see a fire chief right there who's about to give us a briefing. When he starts to talk, we're going to go to him live right away. That he starts and we go to him not too early. Again, major fire burning near Tracy in the warehouse district. A number of warehouses. This is a medical warehouse on fire since about 1 o'clock, as you see some housekeeping work. Yeah, put our microphone up there. We need to hear him. Thank you, buddy. We are waiting for some more information from the fire crews out there, and let's go to that live here on CBS 13 as soon as they do.
We've got Cal OES out there and the Tracy Police Department as well, so they're about to brief our crews out there on the scene. Let's listen in.
Randall Bradley, R-A-N-D-A-L-L-B-R-A-D-L-E-Y. I'm the fire chief of the Tracy Fire Department. Today, about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we responded to a structure fire at the Medline facility, which is a 1 million square foot medical supply facility on Promontory Parkway. Upon arrival, crews found heavy fire from the roof of the facility. An aggressive fire attack with a limited water supply, high winds, high temperatures, low humidities made firefighting very difficult. The fire extended across the roof and down into the facility. We did an interior fire attack. We could not hold the fire. Eventually, we lost the entire 1 million square foot building. The fire did extend across the street into another warehouse facility, the federal FedEx warehouse facility. We were able to, again, aggressive fire attack, lots of mutual aid resources. We were able to stop the fire there. We had several spot fires throughout the city. Aggressive fire attacks from mutual aid resources actually contained those fires pretty quickly. And that's really the extent of it. You can see from the scene behind me, the Medline facility continues to burn. We'll be here throughout the night and throughout tomorrow, making sure that embers don't extend into other portions of the city and to try to continue to contain the fires. That's the update for today. I'm available to take some questions. Also have our representative for our police department here, our board of supervisors, and our city management.
Chief, what are the explosions that we keep hearing?
There's a variety of, it's a medical supply facility, and we have several distribution trucks. Some of them are tires exploding. Some of the explosions you hear from some of the products within the facility.
Chief, this is a medical facility. We know the chemicals are stored there. Any threat to those chemicals creating that toxic plume or problems with the wind or the neighbors?
Yeah, we're monitoring the air quality, and right now we've not issued any warnings for protection from air quality or shelter-in-place warnings. Yeah, right now we do not believe there are any injuries that are part of this incident.
Do you know how many people worked there, and were they evacuating when you arrived?
Yeah, when we arrived, there was an evacuation that was occurring, and I do not have a number for the total number of employees.
Thousands of employees?
I don't believe there's thousands of employees, maybe hundreds of employees.
You mentioned FedEx.
Yes.
So the FedEx facility is also destroyed?
No, the FedEx facility was not destroyed. A large pile of pallets and several containers caught on fire outside of the facility. But again, an aggressive fire attack we were able to protect. That is ongoing right now, and it's looking promising that we'll be able to protect the FedEx facility.
And what about the wind gusts? It's 25 miles an hour. You already have the Embercast. Another fire's already started. How are you dealing with that right now?
Well, we're trying to keep the embers down with master streams, and we're attacking the fires as we see spot fires occur throughout the area.
What kind of supplies, medical supplies are in there? I mean, you said some of them could be exploding. What are we talking about?
There's a variety of medical supplies. I don't have an exact type or quantity of medical supplies. We believe the fire originated from the roof, but it's still under investigation.
I know California requires these types of facilities to report any hazardous materials that are inside. Is that something that your team was aware of? And what type of preparation does the fire department do for a worst-case scenario like this? Because of the sheer quantity of square footage of industrial space that you have here in Tracy that many other cities do not have.
We inspect these facilities. These facilities are permitted. We do track the chemicals that exceed the permitting limits. And so, yeah, we have that information and we evaluate that information as we fight fire and as we protect the public.
Have any homes been evacuated? And then what would you say to residents who are worried about the smoke? What should they do?
Yeah, we have not. This is in a very industrial area, so we have not evacuated any homes, but we do have resources throughout the city in the event spot fires occur that could impact homes. So to date, we have not evacuated any homes.
This facility was built in 2016, which you think would have very up-to-date codes in terms of not only fire detection, but also fire suppression. Any thoughts as to how this was able to spread this fast, this quickly? Because if you look at the alert cameras, in a 30-minute period, went from a little bit of smoke to this entire 1 million square foot facility gone.
Yeah, we had water supply issues, and we don't know why. And we're not sure if the sprinkler systems to protect this facility operated appropriately. We made a good aggressive interior fire attack, and the sprinklers were not operating. So that we'll have to find out what happened to the water supply, and that's going to be a after-action investigation.
So were you not able to tap into fire hydrants? I mean, what was your...
We were. There was just no pressure, and so it limited our fire attack because we lacked pressure on the fire hydrants within the facility. So in the what we call yard hydrants did not have water pressure.
Do the city hydrants have pressure?
Yes.
Firefighters out here.
Yes, they did.
This was a facility-specific issue in terms of
we still have to lots of investigations that need to occur, but. Yes, right now we think it was a facility issue as far as water supply. I think some of them are full and some of them were waiting to be loaded and unloaded. Pardon? I think some of the tires are the explosions that you were hearing, yes.
Chief, you've been chief here for a very long time, and I know you've seen the growth of these facilities. When you heard this call come in and realized this was not just an alarm, this was for real, what happened on like a visceral level? Stomach drop? What were we thinking?
No, this is our largest concern. When we have several million square foot warehouses and we know we require fire protection systems and we train on these types of fires, and so my first thought was an aggressive fire attack that we'd be able to stop, but things worked against us. Again, water supply issues, low humidity, high winds, and high temperatures, and so it was a little bit of the perfect storm for this fire evolving quickly.
Your initial attack, what was it that was specifically on fire?
The roof.
And do you know when the last time that you would have inspected those land hydrants and the sprinkler systems?
So they're required to be inspected at least annually. I do not have the inspection reports, nor have I had time to look at the inspection reports.
Is there a city council person or a supervisor here? Just wondering
So,
if you could talk about the impact of this. This is a large employer to the community, and they do a lot of good for the community. Can you step up to the microphone?
Well, we have our city manager here. I think it would be more adequate for her.
Midori Lightward, M-I-D-O-R-I, Lightward, L-I-C-H-T-W-A-R-D-T. I'm the city manager for the city of Tracy. Our primary concern today at this moment is preservation of life and property. This is obviously one of a very large industrial building here within our 1,800 square foot or 1,800 acre complex. It is one of our employers. I think the question was asked earlier about how many employees there are. I think it's in the hundreds, not the thousands, but we can verify that at a later time. But our primary mission at this moment is to get these fires suppressed and to make sure that we bring all the resources to bear that the City of Tracy has to ensure that our public safety personnel have all the resources they need to suppress this fire and get us into a safe place for the community and our businesses. It's devastating, right? It'll take some time to sink in, but right now we're in sort of emergency attack mode. So we're just trying to make sure that we keep the community safe, keep our parameters, and keep people out of this area, and keep the community updated as we have updates to report out on.
Can you tell us what other companies are in this industrial park? And how big did you say the industrial park is? It's not
all built out, but it's about 1,800 acres.
1,800 acres.
Prologis, yes.
And what other companies are here?
We've got Amazon right behind us over here, several warehousing type facilities. Their names escape me at this moment, but FedEx, certainly, Medline, Amazon.
Home Depot?
There is a Home Depot as well, yes. Anything else?
Unless you have any more questions, I think we've answered. I think we've provided all the information we have now. So.
How many alarms and how many personnel do you have here?
I don't have those exact numbers. It went to 5 alarms, and we added additional resources above the 5 alarms with strike teams out of Alameda County. So, 100 to 150 firefighters on scene. We've been in contact, so anything we need, they've said they would provide. Local OES, county OES also.
How long do you expect to be out here? Would you say days or
yeah.
obviously?
Yeah, I think days. Probably a couple of days.
And again, no reports of any injuries?
No reports of any injuries. That'll do it. Thank you, guys.
All right, a couple of headlines as we dump out of this at 4:15 here on CBS Sacramento. Tony Lopez along with Marley Ginter. The headlines from what you just heard. The entire warehouse is a loss, a total loss, 1 million square foot facility. No evacuations in place for people who live near here, not even a shelter in place, according to the chief. And Marley, the big issue that they had and how this thing got out of control, according to officials, is that they had problems with the water pressure and the sprinkler system of the building, correct? Hold on one second. Let's get your mic on.
That's what they've had the main concern there.
Yeah, we'll get Marley's mic.
My mic on.
There we go. Now we do.
Is that it? Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's been the main concern is the water supply. We know that this has been an aggressive fire attack, that they've had all hands on deck with this one. But the concern when they got out there is that it appeared that the sprinkler system in this Medline warehouse building, the sprinkler system was not operating. That's what we just heard from the fire chief. They had concerns with that and also the water pressure. Even as they were trying to work the fire hydrants in that area, they had no to low water pressure. So that can obviously be a very big concern. But at this point, they don't know why they're having that issue out there with this no to low water pressure they have. We have seen them be able to use their fire trucks out there, their water trucks, because they were getting some of the water out with those, but it was very low pressure, and that is a concern when you have all of these embers spreading. He was saying that they have had multiple grass fires, that the winds out there, the temperatures made it very difficult for crews. They believe that this started on the roof of the Medline facility, then spread into and down the facility, jumped the street into the FedEx facility. What they're saying is that that's where they were able to stop the flames, but still it did burn some of the large pallets and containers outside the FedEx warehouse, I should say, and then they were able to get it under control.
And the fact that Chief said it did start on the roof leads one to possibly ask, how did that impact the fire sprinkler system? Many times near the rooftop, right? So as you take a look at the smoke still from this building, just a small piece of this larger fire black plume puzzle, the fire chief pointing out that, yeah, not only was the water pressure difficult, but the fire sprinkler system. So this started, as Marley said, on the rooftop, and then went across the street to the FedEx building, but that was a great job by them to stop it. Did they have different water pressure over there? We don't know, but we do know that they were able to stop it. Again, there's that FedEx building we were talking about, Marley, with all of those trucks there,
right.
And that's still standing.
And we even saw one of the FedEx trucks on fire earlier, too, as we've been watching this. We've been listening in, but we also have CBS 13's Nina Burns out there as well, who's been listening in and talking with some of the crews out there. Nina, what have you been able to gather?
Yeah, so like you guys just heard, and we did just hear from the fire chief, they said, as we have known, this is a medical facility, but the question still is, what exactly is catching fire and exploding inside? And we've been talking about those full cargo trucks. They did confirm they believe many were not emptied and still remain full, and some of those loud bangs we are hearing are the tires of those trucks. Now, they said they are trying to keep those from catching fire. I know you mentioned one already did, but from the time we first got here to now, we can see the dark, and as Tony and I keep saying, it is quite literally midnight when you look over to the side. At first, it was just on this side of the road, and now I know there are multiple trucks blocking it, but it is engulfing the entire sky as far as I can see down this side of the road. Now, again, by the Amazon facility, it's still bright as day, but that was, I could say the same thing about the area you're looking at right now 25 minutes ago. So we don't know how fast they're going to be able to contain this. He just said they expect to be here all night and even into the morning. But again, we still are trying to find out exactly what is inside. We know that they're prepped for this type of stuff. They get lists of materials, but they still can't confirm exactly what they're dealing with and what might be in those clouds of smoke that they're inhaling and us. And again, it is so hot outside. I am in a short sleeve t-shirt with my hair up and I am sweating. I can't imagine how the crews are feeling right now with not only their normal fire gear, but complete hazmat suits, because again, this is a medical facility. So we're still hoping to hear from the state right now, but they said, as you heard the chief say, they're still trying to figure out exactly what they're dealing with, just like us.
Nina, if this was asked, I apologize, but bring us up to speed. Did anyone say anything about how they're going to attack this from the air and when?
They said that is unknown as of now. He didn't give a clear answer on that. He said they're just fighting it the best they can right now on the ground. And we've seen that from, and now I know it's blocking again, but we've seen it from them trying to stop it from spreading to another grass fire. They have confirmed those have been happening. We did see driving in. We thought it was the first fire, but we saw down the highway, and that turned out just to be a secondary fire compared to this massive one. But right now, Tony, to answer your question is, they don't know when they'll be able to start tackling this from the air.
And Nina, when we were talking with you earlier, we could even hear the explosions through your microphone, which was very concerning as you were standing out there. I'll let you speak on this, but we did hear the fire chief just talking about what those explosions could have been.
He said so they could either be just material that are inside, but again, back to those fully loaded trucks that he said he can't confirm if they emptied it. He's actually pretty sure that many of them are still entirely open. So he said the very loud ones, which goes with me saying earlier that it smelled like a curling iron had caught onto plastic, like burning plastic. He said it's tires exploding from the heat right now. So when we continue to hear that, it is either tires or whatever is exploding currently inside the building.
Which makes sense, because even as you were out there, you were saying you could smell chemicals, what smelled like a chemical smell out there. That would make sense. They did also say, yes, some of the tires out there, but also some of the air tanks, possibly oxygen tanks, any of the supplies that could have been in the building as well. We really appreciate it. We know that you're busy gathering some more information. We'll let you go for now. We also have some shots that we want to show you, because we do have multiple crews out there now, so you can see different angles of this. This from above, where you can see a lot of that melted facility. Again, this is an 1,800 acre area that we're dealing with here. So you can see a lot of that, a lot of the melted, really metal, plastic all throughout that building. A complete loss to Medline Medical Warehouse. The fire starting on the roof, then seeping down into the building, and even jumping the street to reach over to the FedEx warehouse as well. As we were even watching this, when we first came on air just after 2:30, we could see some of the cargo out there also had caught fire as well. So firefighters have really been busy, not just attacking what they have at hand, but as these embers have flown, we've had cargo catch fire right outside the facility, as well as multiple grass fires, because even when you see from above, you could see just how dry the area is around this facility. That's where the concern has been and what has kept firefighters so busy. In the middle of all that, the water pressure has been an issue for firefighters, and they've been trying to tackle these flames as they come up. It's kept them so busy, but then the challenge has been either low to even no water pressure for some of those fire hydrants. They're also saying that it did not look like the sprinkler system for the Medline Medical Warehouse was even working by the time crews had gotten out there. So multiple challenges that they've had, including the winds, the temperature, and the low water pressure as well.
Initially, I know the fire chief said that was a problem. As you took a look at some other images of them putting water on some surrounding warehouses, it did look like they got at least some of that water pressure back. So they hopefully rectified that initial problem which caused the delay. 4:22 here on a Thursday afternoon. We are on early and on with wall-to-wall coverage. If you're just tuning in, of a medical facility on fire, not just on fire, but destroyed. A 1 million square foot facility near Tracy. If you live in the area or work in the area, you've driven by the area, you know this is warehouse central, a warehouse mecca. There's the FedEx building, which had some damage as well across the street, but they were able to save it. As you take a look at the trucks, and Marley, we saw, and we'll be able to see it again from a different vantage point. They are on the roof of this pouring water to make sure that no embers go onto that structure and catch it on fire. So they'll be there for days, obviously. I mean, it's going to be a long, long haul, and there is the saving grace of people all getting out, and the people around the area who live there. You're just dealing with seeing a lot of smoke. No evacuations, not even a shelter in place, according to the fire chief. So that may change depending on the wind direction. But we've talked to Brian about the wind direction as well, and that is something that is holding steady.
And with that, we do want to bring in our meteorologist, Brian Schofield, with us, who's been tracking the wind conditions, the temperatures as well out there. You had a really great graphic that you pulled up earlier that just really showed the direction that the wind is moving in. And just tell us about if that direction could change and what we're dealing with. Yeah, you're getting those arrows giving you the direction it's coming from and where it's blowing all that smoke to. It's becoming more evident that it's really taking over parts of the freeways out there as well as the communities. So that's something we're watching. You can see a little shift there from time to time as the winds blow. They've been about 10 to 20 miles per hour or so across the area. Get it closer into the warehouses. Do you guys mind if I put arrows on these maps? Do you want to see some of those buildings that are...
Do you think?
Oh, do you think? No, I appreciate that very much. I want to really kind of point out some of these. Obviously, here's the Medline building. This is what we're looking at, obviously. And some other buildings that are around. We've been talking about this FedEx property right here, all distribution centers. And then, of course, we have Home Depot right here. I believe this is Williams-Sonoma, but you can see that surround there. And, of course, some very important distribution centers like Amazon right here where that red arrow is pointing, Costco warehouse, and also Best Buy right there. So those are things that we're watching very closely to see where the smoke is going to end up. But we know one thing for sure, that there's so much in the way in that smoke that you just want to try to stay safe, especially even if you're far down south. Those particulate matters will be in the air, and you'll definitely have a chance. If you're not seeing it off in the distance, you're experiencing it closer by with all those particulates, once again, breathable, and you don't want that. We don't have any air quality quotes or anything like that for you, but we know in the immediate area that air quality cannot be that good. Back to you guys.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, Tony Lopez with Marley Ginter right here on the CBS 13 ARV, our set, giving you all sorts of different perspectives from this breaking news. Let's clarify something that we just were told from our executive producer regarding the FedEx building, Marley.
Right, exactly. So when we were saying, and we heard the chief say it too, that it had reached the FedEx facility, it reached the outside of the facility. So we're talking cargo, some pallets is what the fire chief had said had burned, and that's where they had known, okay, we have embers that are flying up into the air. We need to make sure that we're keeping an eye on that. They already were, but just to clarify, did not burn the FedEx facility itself. But yes, what the chief had told us is that some of the pallets outside and some cargo had caught fire. They were able to contain those embers there and the fire there that had popped up.
We have both covered lots of fires in our careers, and I can't remember such a huge warehouse fire that's impacting such a large swath of land in terms of the size of this. So to the right is our ground shot. Upper left, you see them fixated on the FedEx building, which obviously, as Marley said, it's okay, it's still standing. And then the firefight to the left corner of your screen as they try and put water on the flames to make sure they don't infiltrate those trucks, because who knows what's in those trucks, but the tires themselves could pop, as you heard, the explosions on the air live. Lots of moving parts with this. This isn't your run-of-the-mill, hey, there's a building on fire, because this is going to take a while for it to be put out.
And you can see all of the crews that they have out here. We've got multiple agencies attacking this fire right now, just making sure that they keep up with any of the embers that have caught some of that dry grass on fire in that area, because we've watched multiple small spot fires pop up. We were even live on the air as Nina had pointed out that there was some flames popping up. Immediately, firefighters walked over there, got some water on those fires. But this has been the concern, low water pressure. They are still trying to figure out, and we will have so many questions on that in the coming days as to what was going on with the water pressure out there, because the fire hydrants had either low to no water pressure, which, as you could imagine, would definitely cause some concerns out there when they have all of their crews trying to tackle this one, and they weren't able to tackle it from the air just yet. They still had a lot more to assess on the ground as they've had multiple crews out there.
Yeah, how many times are we in the newsroom and we hear on the scanner traffic fire or smoke or flames seen from the roof? That's often the case, right? And many times the fire crews are able to suppress that. But on top of that, Marley, he also said that the building's sprinkler system, in his estimation, was not operating properly. Did that have an impact from the actual fire itself on the rooftop, impacting the sprinkler system? Perhaps, but you would think those are designed to withstand those. There's the firefight to your right. You see that water with the pressure looking pretty darn good right now compared to how it was initially. But again, that black tsunami right there looks like just a shoreline of smoke and silt and dirt and chemicals and who knows what else is burning. Again, if you're home right now and you live near here, we're being told by officials you're good. Everything is good in terms of evacuations, not in no evacuations ordered, and the shelter in place not yet. If that changes, stay with us. We will tell you the second that changes.
In fact, the main concern for them really has come from the Valley Air District, as they had posted warning people, especially if you're sensitive to this, asthma, children, older adults, to just make sure that you're staying inside, you're shutting those windows. Don't go outside unless you absolutely have to, but if you have to wear a mask. So that's coming from the Valley Air District. They've also posted online, you can go to their website to check the air quality right in your area, because we do know that all of that smoke, of course, is going to travel, especially with the winds blowing in that southeast direction that we've been tracking with meteorologist Brian Schofield, as he's been watching that, but he does anticipate the wind direction will most likely stay the same.
We want to tell our viewers in a few seconds, we're going to do a reset, what we call here when breaking news happens, and our 4:30 show is usually about to start. So in a few seconds, we will come back and stay on the air, but we will do a reset to tell you exactly what we know from A to Z on this. So keep it right here on CBS 13, because it is not your typical news day. We have a lot of moving parts with this fire. Yes, it's burning in a remote area, but a lot of people could be impacted when all is said and done.
Exactly.
All right. With that, we say welcome into our 4:30 news. Marley's been on the air a little bit longer than me. First on the scene here with what was happening with this 1 million square foot medical warehouse facility gone.
Exactly. We're talking 1,800 acres that have completely burned down. We're watching all of this black smoke come up. We came on the air a little after 2:30 because we wanted to make sure we got that information out to you quickly. We'd already been getting calls. We've already been watching so many people posting online wanting to know exactly what burned. So here's what you have. This is the Medline Medical Warehouse that caught fire. The fire starting on the roof of that building. This is just outside of Tracy, right off of Promontory Parkway near the 205. The flames then went from the roof into that facility, burned the entire facility, and what we've been dealing with ever since are the embers that have been going up into the air and catching all of that dry grass that you see around the facility on fire. Firefighters attacking multiple grass fires. The fire then also jumped the street and went towards the FedEx facility. Did not burn the facility itself, but was enough to catch large pallets and containers on fire outside the FedEx facility, and that's where firefighters were able to contain it.
A couple more headlines with this. Medline Industries has about 53 locations nationwide. This one in Tracy is the distribution center and logistics hub. You could just tell by the size, it's their main player. As you take a look at that truck on fire right there, the bed of that truck, that's what they're trying to contain. But they operate 5 of these buildings in California, and they have invested tremendous amount into the medical facility, into the medical world, all gone, at least for now. For this facility, they invested about $500 million in a supply inventory, 1,300 trucks. So there is a lot to burn in this facility near Tracy.
And we just heard from the fire chief out there not long ago. He mentioned 3 top challenges that they've had. He explained the winds have been a challenge for firefighters. The high temperatures have been a concern for firefighters, especially as they have all of that gear on. But the one surprising one and the concerning one that we will have a lot of questions about is the low to no water pressure that they've been dealing with out there. The sprinkler system on that Medline medical warehouse facility were not working. They were not operating when firefighters got out there. And then the fire hydrants that they hooked up to had very low water pressure. At this point, firefighters are not sure what was causing that low water pressure, but they are looking into it. And of course, we will keep asking as to what happened with that.
Again, this is not near a residential area, as big warehouses, as you know, are put in places that are not near homes, and that is the saving grace. Mostly other warehouses. I mean, we talked about how large this facility is, 1,800 acres. You mentioned the FedEx, Home Depot, Amazon, Best Buy, a company called Zinus Inc., Williams-Sonoma warehouse. So if you got a warehouse, that was a place to have it, right? Because all that land out there and all those people employed, hundreds of people who worked in this building, they did make it out. Everyone made it out safely. And let's be honest, that's all that matters at the end of the day, right? I mean, you can build another warehouse. You can hopefully get another job and they can transfer you to another facility, but no injuries as of now. And they want to keep it that way, especially with the firefighters, Marley, because, you know, they've got all that gear on. It's extremely hot out there. Not just injuries from the fire itself, but, you know, heat exhaustion, things like that play a factor. And
they've already said that they will be out there through the night, of course, tomorrow. But you can imagine there will be a lot of cleanup and a lot to deal with in the days, even weeks to come at this point. Also, in talking with the fire chief out there, we do understand that they inspect these facilities regularly. They are permitted, and the fire department tracks what's inside each of those warehouses, because again, this is an industrial area. Of course, you do have residential areas just outside of this, but for the most part, an industrial area, all of the supplies that are kept inside these warehouses have to be tracked and accounted for. So the fire department is aware of what was in these facilities, including this medical facility warehouse as well, because what they had in there could be concerning with all of the chemicals and any of the medical supplies that they have there as to what's burning and then going up into the air. So they have tracked that. They're continuing to. But the big thing is that all of the employees who were inside, hundreds of them could be, were all evacuated. Everyone made it out. They were all accounted for, including FedEx. They also reached out to us and let us know that all of their employees had been accounted for as well.
All right, our crews are on the ground gathering information. We're going to turn it over to Nina Burns, who is out there live for us near the fire scene on the ground from her vantage point. You see the wind still whipping up there and the flames and the smoke behind you, Nina.
That's right, and we actually were just told they're officially putting caution tape up, so we are being asked to move slightly over. Now, again, we just spoke a few minutes ago, and the smoke continues to grow as of now. And again, the question that I hear other people asking, and that the same answer is over and over to, is, I don't know. Well, that question is, what are the chemicals that are inside of the smoke right now? Again, we know this is a medical facility. There is going to be chemicals. There is going, and here we go, they're moving us back more. It does look like right now the wind is pushing the smoke back more. It does look like right now the wind is pushing the smoke closer to the other facility right now. And again, we did just get moved. They're officially putting up crime scene tape. But again, I can't stress this enough. It sounds like as they get a hold of this, they're finding out information alongside us. As you said, they think this started from the roof. There was a sprinkler system issue. But again, he stressed, the chief of police, that that is not confirmed right now. That is just what they believe early in this investigation. And it's going to take a lot of work to get this to a point when they can even enter inside and start figuring out the exact cause. But if we could zoom in to the roof over there, you do see where it has caved in already, where the smoke is pouring out. It looks like even the walls are about to cave. Yet on one side, you can see the med line right there. That is untouched. It's always so insane to see how in these type of fires, buildings can be completely untouched in one area and just destroyed in another. Again, this is a 1 million-foot facility that is now completely destroyed.
Yeah, very concerning to see all that. Nina, as you've been out there too, you were hearing those explosions. That was also a concern out there, not knowing exactly what the supplies were that they had in that building. Have you continued to hear any more explosions as you've been standing out there?
We have heard a few more. It is getting less frequent. When I first got here, it was nonstop. And even when we were interviewing the police department, he was flinching at how much it was just going boom, boom, boom. Like we said, we did find out that much of that could have been tires, but they are still pretty sure that it is stuff that is exploding from inside of the building right now.
Yeah, it could be anything, right? I know that firefighters train for these types of warehouse fires, a warehouse fire, but when you're talking about multiple ones that are threatened and such a large warehouse unto itself, that's when they have to put all that practice into motion. 3 box right there you have, of course. Brian has the satellite and radar showing us, and we can go ahead and open up his mic because we got to get people up to speed on the winds as well. And then the 2 smaller boxes obviously showing the aerial shot on the left lower and then the right ground shot from a distance. Brian, take it away with the winds.
Yeah, it gives you a good shot of how close it is to major roadways where people are probably traveling or planning to, and this would not be the time to plan to it. Last time we showed you the particular buildings, I heard you name them off, so let's just show them again so everyone knows the buildings we're dealing with. This one, kind of an unnamed building, I'm not sure what that is, but this is the Medline warehouse distribution. Here's Williams-Sonoma right here. We're talking a lot about the FedEx building. That's to the south of it. That's across the road from it, and that's your FedEx building. Over here, Home Depot distribution. You go a little more westward, and then you're dealing with the Amazon distribution center along with Costco warehouse and with Best Buy right there. So surrounding this area, so much going on, obviously, with trucks that want to come in and out, but now everything's pretty much closed down. And at this juncture, and it should be, because these arrows are giving you the direction the wind is coming from and blowing the smoke to. That puts it right over the roadways. That puts it in these communities that are around those distribution centers. So even though it is surrounded by quite a bit of property, nevertheless, they're close enough by communities that are probably experiencing that smoke. Even if you're more off to the east and not quite off to the south, the winds could certainly take it your way. So just
Brian,
stay put.
name some of the communities or some of the cities that could definitely be smelling or seeing some of the smoke as it comes through. We know that this started in Tracy, but we were saying it could go as far south as Patterson, right?
Yeah, this word Tracy is just kind of over toward the east of actually everything. But yeah, if we pull out a little more, you're seeing not only the community of Carbona there, but you get down to Wesley and so many other areas, down to Patterson. Certainly, those have a much better chance at actually seeing some of those stronger winds and of obviously some of that smoke as well down through Stockton. Let me get a little closer in. I'll take a look at my maps here and just get from Tracy down, down to Wesley, down to Patterson.
And then you have both of the highways, 205 and the 580.
And the
both,
5,
right?
a major, all the way down to Newman and Gustine.
Now, Booth, if you can answer this question for me, the video we were showing from the road, was that 580 traffic or 205? Do we know?
Are you asking me?
I thought that was 205 because 205 runs right by the warehouse, and that's where a lot of.
Well, let's go right back into it then, so we don't have to do any guesswork.
I'm just asking that because
no, I know. I'm just let me pull it up so you can see it. To the north of the building is the 205.
Yeah, I'm guessing you're right.
So the smoke wouldn't be across that road necessarily.
Right, but that was the video from the traffic, Marley, you were pointing, because obviously if it was the 580, that traffic would have been covered in smoke, because that's the direction the smoke was heading.
But you're right about people looking in on it as well would slow the traffic down, not just the smoke. So obviously it's a sight to be seen out there, but it definitely affects several roadways, if not just immediately around the distribution centers, obviously those highways as well.
Yeah, could we take left lower full, guys? Because that's a good shot from the helicopter if we take that full, showing the destruction. And I know it sounds cliche, but it does look like a bomb went off. I mean, I'm serious. And you see the streams of water being thrown on there. They got some water pressure back kicked into high gear. There's a second one. A car goes on fire. There's another truck. Let's see if we see a third. I know that they're going to be lining up once the flames maybe move more inward into what was left of that building. but it is a heck of a large building, or was. 1 million square foot, Marley. I mean, that is a very large facility. And yes, I'm sure they had practices in terms of what would happen if there was an emergency. Thankfully, those were put into motion today. But a big question mark about the sprinkler system, because the fire chief said something was missing when they showed up.
Right. We're talking 1,800 acres where you could see just around how much dry brush that they're dealing with as well. We were watching as those embers would fly, one spot fire pop up after the other, firefighters rushing from one to the other. The other concerning thing was all of the explosions that we could hear in that area as well. But we just heard from the fire chief explaining a lot of that were with tires, as you've seen many semi-trucks parked out there, as well as employee cars parked out there as well. So could have been the tires popping, as well as any of the medical supplies that they have in the building. We know that they could have oxygen tanks in there. Again, this is the Medline Medical Warehouse. This is one of the largest facilities they have in the country, because they have multiple facilities, but this specific one in Tracy, definitely one of their largest in the country, as they have all of those medical supplies. This has really been the challenge. You see just how large this is, but then when you look over there to the right of your screen, you see the water that they're pouring onto this. But can you imagine how overwhelming with the site and the area that they have to deal with? And then you just see these small streams of water that they're pouring onto whatever they can out there. A lot of it has just been keeping the spot fires under control, because at one point the embers were able to jump the street and go towards the FedEx facility. That's when they caught the multiple pallets, large pallets on fire that were outside, as well as cargo that was outside the facility. Fortunately, though, firefighters were able to at least contain it there. And at this point, dealing with any other spot fires that pop up, not even able to tackle it from the air just yet, as they really just have multiple agencies on scene dealing with just the outside, the perimeter, trying to make sure that this thing stays contained.
You mentioned it having large locations, 53 locations. This is the big one, as you said. So if they need something in terms of the medical world, so let's say a hospital needs some supplies, this company, this is their go-to place, or was their go-to place. Wider shot right there showing just that wall of black smoke. This is a let it burn scenario. You'll talk to firefighters a lot in terms of when they approach something that they know that at some point they're going to have to just let that sucker burn to a point, right? And then to Marley's point and clarification as far as like them trying to make sure that no spot fires emerge. So putting water on this thing. We are on the air with you right here with breaking news on CBS 13 from our ARVR set and beyond. Our crews are on the ground. There is a warehouse that's been destroyed just west of Tracy. We'll stay on top of this, of course, and have more on the other side of this very quick break. Do stay with us.
We had water supply issues, and we don't know why. And we're not sure if the sprinkler systems to protect this facility operated appropriately. We made a good aggressive interior fire attack, and the sprinklers were not operating. So that we'll have to find out what happened to the water supply, and you know, that's going to be a after action investigation. Right now, we think it was a facility issue as far as water supply. There was just no pressure, and so it limited our fire attack because we lacked pressure on the fire hydrants within the facility. So in the what we call yard hydrants did not have water pressure.
We come back on the air with that because that's a big deal. We'll get to that statement in a second. But the fact that the fire chief, you hear the exasperation in his voice, right? The frustration about the water pressure. But let's get to that statement since it's full screen, Mark.
Right. And so this company, the company that owns the warehouse, is Medline. They released this statement saying all of their employees and on-site personnel are accounted for and that the safety and well-being of their employees is their top priority. They say they are working with local law enforcement and first responders. They're going to share more details as they become available. But we do know their largest facility that they have is they've got multiple across the country with medical supplies inside. As you can see, all of the flames still popping up in the middle there, cargo on fire outside of the facility as well. With that, the concerns about what chemicals or toxins are in the air. The fire department, as we just heard from the chief, does keep track of all of the supplies in all of the warehouses that are in this area, because this is an industrial area. So you have a FedEx facility out there as well, an Amazon warehouse, this Medline medical warehouse. They keep track of all of the supplies that are inside these warehouses to know exactly what could be on fire at this point. That's what they're tracking. And we've also been keeping an eye on the air quality. At this point, no evacuations of the residential area around this, but still telling everyone to stay inside, keep those windows shut, and if you have to go outside, to wear a mask.
I want to circle back to the water pressure and the sprinkler issue, according to the chief. And we have wonderful people who work behind the scenes. So our Simon desk is watching and listening right now. We'd love to reach out to Medline. I know they've already given a statement on the people, and that's certainly first and foremost in everyone's mind. All their workers are okay, and we are so grateful for that, as are they, of course. But let's see if we can reach out and find out if they have any comment whatsoever in response to the allegations of sprinkler issues or fire fighting hamper, the impairment, if you will, with the water pressure. Because he did say, Marley, in that soundbite, I heard it for a second time, and that caught my eye, the actual hydrants that were on the property did not have sufficient water pressure or water itself for them to do their jobs.
Exactly. That was the concern. They had low to no water pressure. That's what we heard the chief saying, is that was the concern, because of course they're trying to deal with a fire at hand, but then you also have the spot fires that were popping up as we watched multiple grass fires in that area popping up, even live on air. Our Nina Burns pointed out that some of the grass was on fire. We watched as firefighters rushed over there to put those flames out, and it was one of several that they've had to deal with. But as they're dealing with those, they were noticing that there was low water pressure, even at some points no water pressure. That is the concern out there, because you have all of these facilities, all of these other surrounding warehouses that they're keeping an eye on, like the FedEx facility that they watched the embers jump the road and then go over towards that facility, even enough to catch cargo and large pallets outside the FedEx facility on fire. That's what they were dealing with. So when you have that, and then you couple that with the low water pressure, the other challenges, the high winds, and the high temperatures, all of those concerns.
Yeah, firefighters will tell you that if they approach a building, and I don't care how big it is or how small it is, if it's a roof fire, they can most likely contain it if it's not large at the time that they roll up there. So, perhaps as they rolled up, they're like, okay, well, this is going to be a challenge, but let's just get some hoses on this thing. And then somebody said there's not enough pressure. Guessing, but you know what? Firefighters, when they roll up, they want to get the job done. They want to be set up for success like everyone else. Brian, what do you have?
I'll tell you, it's very important that we hear from officials that people are okay. We love that. We love hearing that. But we should also talk a little bit about animals. We're not that far away from a wildlife refuge right here. This is the San Joaquin River National Wildlife Refuge. Let me get a little closer in. And that's a direction where we'll probably see some of that particulate matter make its way to some of these very rare animals out there that are trying to be protected in this habitat. So, and we have several of these kind of habitats that make their way down through the San Joaquin Valley. So that's something we have to consider as well. We know that direction from the north to the south is going to continue to blow the winds in southerly communities. That anywhere you're south of this warehouse fire, obviously, is going to be a part of concern. And I'm looking at maybe 10 to 20 mile per hour winds. So we really have a good breeze out there, if anything, at times, but we're not looking at strong gusts. Our peak gusts topped off about where they did yesterday. So this day is turning out to be pretty decent wind-wise. Obviously, if it's compared to yesterday, it's equal. We don't want it to be stronger, and there was a chance it could have been stronger than yesterday. Temperature-wise, we're middle 90s to right around 100 across Tracy and parts of the San Joaquin Valley, even some low 100s checking in as well. But here's your facilities right there, just to give you an idea. So our wind direction, once again, is taking that smoke and some of that fire, and obviously there's a concern about those southerly warehouses as well, but it's taking that and moving it southward. Back to you guys.
Meteorologist Brian Schofield, we really appreciate the look at the wind direction there. That really changes the perspective for everyone in that area as to which areas they're keeping an eye on. Again, those winds moving in that south-southeast direction. That gives you an idea of Patterson to the south there, that people will be watching to see the air quality in that area. Let's reset real quick and just recap exactly what's going on before we go to break. We have 1,800 acres at this Medline Medical Warehouse that caught fire, completely burnt down, is destroyed at this point. A total loss. This Medline Medical Warehouse caught fire. It looks like it started on the roof, then went down into the facility, burned through there, and then even jumped the road at one point, causing concerns for spot fires. All of the employees for that Medline Medical Warehouse were able to get out safely. They've all been accounted for, as well as the other warehouses in that area, including FedEx, also said that all of their employees were accounted for as well. At this point, monitoring the air quality, but telling everyone to stay inside, keep their windows closed, and if you have to go outside, to wear a mask. Dealing with the three challenges: the high winds, high temperatures, and then the water supply issues, which we will be attacking.
Approaching the 5 o'clock hour, we're going to stay on the air with you on this breaking news. Huge warehouse fire destroying a big medical facility. We're going to stay on top of things, take a quick break, be right back. Keep it right here on CBS 13 News, live continuous coverage of a Tracy warehouse destroyed. And okay, is my mic on now? Okay, perfect. Thank you, everyone. We are back live. Tony Lopez with Marley Ginter standing by. You're looking live at a huge warehouse destroyed just west of Tracy, a medical facility, as a warehouse just ignited around 1 o'clock as a roof fire just spread, collapsing the building, Marley, destroying everything in it. The good news, no one hurt. As you take a look at some flames kick up right there, no evacuation orders in place, or not even a shelter in place as we know of.
Right, we've been on the air for you since just after 2:30 or shot there. Okay, we have it back up there where you can see just how thick and black that smoke is coming up from this Medline medical facility this is a warehouse in Tracy. This is right on Promontory Parkway, right near the 205. That area very backed up with traffic as they're telling everyone to just avoid the area as a whole. We've got multiple agencies out there trying to tackle this fire. We also have emergency crews that have been rushing around to all the spot fires that have popped up in that area, because although the facilities have been evacuated and everyone accounted for, there have been concerns about the embers flying and sparking more spot fires.
There you saw Arnina Burns getting in place for our 5 o'clock show, which starts in just a couple of minutes from right now. We are just resetting and getting you up to speed. They're pouring water on this thing, as you can see, not from the air, because the visibility is poor. Is that going to change later on? We'll have to see. But usually, the nighttime, they stick with the hoses from the side and don't have any aerial support on this. Again, another plume of smoke right there with the water just being poured on this thing, trying to keep those embers from flying.
All right, and we're going to take a break right now as we go and start our 5 o'clock newscast right after this break.